minutes.
I've been sitting in my chair. Let's do this. Good evening. Please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Riley Miner, a 7th grader at Enzer. Oh, the time is 6:01. And just in case anybody wanted to know, today is Riley's birthday.
All right, happy birthday.
Thank you very much, Riley. And we hope you had a very happy birthday. And she's out the door to go celebrate. Good evening. The next thing on the agenda is Superintendent's comments. Dr. Espinosa.
Yes, President Rodriguez, members of the board, speaking of birthdays, Mr. Paul Guerra had his birthday on May 23rd. Wishing Mr. Paul Guerra a happy birthday.
Is he finally 21? 21. All right.
21, and he's having his birthday.
You don't look a day over 20.
I thought Mr. Guerra said last year was his last one.
No, we don't want to say that.
Thank you, Mr. Nahara.
We just want to keep celebrating the 21st.
The same one.
And we have some new team members that have joined Team SISD's leadership team with us tonight. I'd like to introduce them. So as I call your name, please stand to be recognized. Starting off with Ms. Selena Stiles, who is our new Director of Human Resource for Support Personnel. We have Mr. Rummy Gray, who is our new Assistant Director for Athletics Services. Mr. Ronald Pingor is our new Assistant Director for Fine Arts. New Principal at William Slider Middle School, Mr. Enrique Herrera. And the new Assistant Principal at Paso del Norte is Ms. Diana Moy. Congratulations to all of our new leaders. You all will do fantastic in your new role. Also, we have many, many exciting events happening in our school district as we get closer to the end of the 2015-2016 school year. We're very, very proud of all of our students who will be obviously graduating next weekend and moving on to college, to the military, or to the different careers that they will join. So congratulations to them. Tomorrow, Wednesday, we will have our Options High School graduation ceremony at 10 in the morning. We also have tomorrow at Eastlake High School our academic signing day, in which the top 100 scholarships will be announced tomorrow at Eastlake High School at 6 p.m. Also on Thursday's a big day in our school district. At 9:30 a.m. we will have live streaming. We will be having our live streaming on our district website, our Achieving Success as a Team live show. So if you want to watch it, please log on to www.sisd.net and tune in. Also, again, high school graduations will be next weekend, May 27th, which is a Friday, and 28th at the Don Haskins Convention Center. So looking forward to that date. That concludes my comments. President Rodriguez, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Espinosa. And one thing that I don't know if Dr. Espinosa mentioned, but SISD was one of the finalists for the HEB Excellence in Education Award. And again, without the work of our students and our teachers and our staff and our fabulous superintendent, I don't think we would have made that honor. This year we've done some really good things. So again, thank you to our cabinet, our administrators, our teachers, our students. You know, the students is what we're here for, and you guys are doing a great job. So thank you, students, thank you, staff and faculty, and administration. Thank you very much. And before we go on to our next item, I would just like to say, as president of the board, it has been my privilege and honor to serve on this board. And as president, and I thank you all so much for the support that you've given me for the past couple of months with everything that's been happening. I thank you all, and I thank you all for being so patient. It's like I haven't been to a couple of meetings, a couple of meetings, but thank you all, and again, thank you, Dr. Espinosa and board members. Thank you so much. All right, next item on the agenda. Consider taking action to elect and install board officers for the Board of Trustees. The first position is board president. Do I hear nominations for board president?
I nominate Gary Gandara.
Second. I have a motion made by Mr. Nájera to nominate Gary Gandara as board president, seconded by Mrs. Nájera. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, board vice president. Do I hear any nominations for board vice president?
I make the motion for Paul Guerra for vice president.
Second.
Motion was made by Mr. Gandara, seconded by Mr. Nájera to nominate Mr. Guerra as vice president. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Board secretary. Do I hear any nominations for board secretary?
I make the motion for Cindy Nájera.
Second.
Motion was made to name Cindy Nájera as secretary, seconded by Mr. Paul Guerra. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations to our new elected officers. Next item on the agenda, board honors, Mr. Escobar.
Board members, Dr. Espinosa, my name is Daniel Escobar, Chief Communications Officer for the district. It is my pleasure to introduce tonight's recognitions. If you'll please step down to receive our honorees. Our first recognition is in honor of 10 SISD students who earned the Gates Millennium Scholarship. This is a most in SISD's history. The program selects 1,000 talented students each year to receive a Good Through Graduation Scholarship to use at any college or university of their choice. Recipients are provided with leadership development opportunities, mentoring, academic and social support, as well as, of course, the financial support. Congratulations to these outstanding scholars in Team SISD. They are from America's High School, Julian Franco. From Eastlake High School, Miguel Martinez. Also from Eastlake, Eduardo Arzabala. From El Dorado High School, Abelin Esparza. Also from El Dorado, Parrish Fimster. Continuing with students from El Dorado, Jordan Lopez. As well as Miguel Moya. From Mission Early College High School, Dinah Torres. And from Socorro High School, Sergio Dominguez. Students, if you'll please return to the front for a photo. And just a quick note as they're gathering that the photos taken by our district photographer, Mr. Largo, will be posted on our district Smug Mug account. There is a photo icon on the bottom right-hand corner of our webpage. The photos there, once you open them, they're available for free high-resolution download. Our second recognition is for two Socorro High School students who earned the Subiendo Academy Scholarship through the McComb School of Business at UT Austin. Subiendo aims to prepare young leaders to address the needs of the next generation by problem-solving issues in healthcare, energy environment, and education. Only 80 students are selected for this honor. The Subiendo Scholarship recipients are Emmanuel Garcia, and Alondra Corral. If we can have you join the board for a photo, please. Congratulations once again. Next, we recognize a Montwood High School student who won the 2016 Miss Black El Paso Southwest Scholarship Pageant. The program is founded by longtime community leaders, the late Leona Ford Washington and Estine Davis. As the winner, this student has earned a scholarship to help her as she continues in her educational journey. Congratulations to Brianne Williams. Congratulations once again. Our next recognition will honor a Montwood High School student who excelled as an actor in the 1-6A District by District and Area 2015-16 UIL one-act play competition. This student did an amazing job in his role in the play, Candid. He earned the title of Top Honors Best Actor for his unforgettable performance. Congratulations to Sean White. He is joined by his director and instructor, Ebony Gamboa. Congratulations once again. Next, we honor SISD students who placed at the 33rd Annual Sun Country Regional Science and Engineering Fair. The young scientists demonstrated excellent research, experiment, and presentation skills with their projects. More than 60 students placed first, second, and third in the contest, qualifying for the Texas Science and Engineering Fair, which was held in San Antonio, Texas. We'll recognize the students by school level, beginning with our pre-K-8 campus students. We'll begin with Desert Wind School. Congratulations to Amaya Flores. Hector Karate. Destiny Enriquez. Kevin Cadena. Valeria Mora. Giselle Rubio. Alejandra Castillo. Paulina Medrano. Elisa Calderon. Their advisor is Yvonne Govea. From Ernesto Serna School, Jacqueline Estrada. Jeremiah Sanchez. From Jane Hambrick School, Nathan Raimundo. His advisor is Kimberly Holt. From John Drugan School, Damini Patel. Jennifer Muniz. Mario Solis. Taylor Mueller. Ariana Hernandez. Joshua Milden. John Legaspi. Olivia Nares. Ethan Lopez. Monica Nevares. Itzel Carmona. Jimena Ortiz. Caitlin Peña. Jesly Rivas. And their advisor is Jasmine Berrios. From Paso del Norte School, Riley Kinmore. And advisor, Melissa Ramirez. Yes, sir. We'll have all of our students that have been recognized to come to the front for a photo. Just something to blow the main hall. I don't care about control. Ma'am. Big smile. Keep smiling, keep smiling. Okay, congratulations once again. We'll continue with students from our middle school campuses, beginning with Captain Walter Clark Middle School. Marco Sanchez. Yesenia Carnera. Alondra Sanchez. Serena Sanchez. Miguel Garcia. Evelyn Zarate. Their advisor is Rosalinda Juarez. From Enzer Middle School, Riley Miner. Darian Booth. Cecilia Regino. Austin McKeeben. Jeremy Guerra. Jared Booth. Andrea Veliz. Jonathan Maese. Daisy Villalobos. Their advisor is Christine Duran. From Montwood Middle School, Carolina Marioni. Sarah Eckenroth. Their advisor is Gerardo Talamantes. From Hernando Middle, Liam Bennett. Christopher Camacho. Their advisor is Eric Palomares. From Puentes Middle School, Jade DeGraff. Their advisor is Ivan Gallegos. From Socorro Middle, Diego Cerda. Advisor is Isabel Ramirez. And from Sunridge Middle, Miranda Rocha. And Delian Fernandez is the advisor. Congratulations to all of our middle school students and their advisors. If we'll have you all please come back to the front for a photo. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Mom coming through.
I'll get you one. Don't worry, I got you. I'm just kidding. Yeah. Christy, will you switch a young man? With keep smiling, looking straight. Congratulations once again. There we go. We'll continue with our high school students that excelled in this competition, beginning with America's High School, Allison Couch, Jaime Martinez, Janelle Balin, Lena Lai, Serenity Nunez. Their advisor is Liliana Ramirez. From Eastlake High School, Andres Maldonado. His advisor is Martha Juarez. From El Dorado High School, Cristian Alanis. Hector Muniz. William Crossland. Kofe Emigli. The advisor is Antonio Castroita. From Mission Early College High School, Carolyn Mena. Destiny Aguirre. Rebecca Gandara. The advisor is Helen Geller. From Socorro High School, Zoe Rodriguez. And the advisor is Hector Martel. If we can have you return to the front for a photo, please. Okay, so he did show up. Not her. She made such a deal. good, Davis? Congratulations once again. Among the many Team SISD Science Fair winners, we had 3 students who placed and won special awards at the Texas Science and Engineering Fair, which was held at UTSA. One of these students also won sweepstakes at the Sun Country Regional Fair, which qualified her for the Intel International Science and Engineering Fair. Congratulations to these students on their great accomplishments. First, Special Awards Senior Division winner from El Dorado High School, Laila Rodriguez Fournier. Also, placing second, Grand Award Life Sciences category from John Drugan School, Karen Nevares. No, she's like a freshman, sophomore. Yeah. She started coming like in 6th grade every year. Congratulations once again. Our next recognition is for El Dorado High School robotics students who excelled in the first Tech College FTC competition, which was held also in San Antonio, Texas. This was the first time the team advanced to a super regional. The students also won 5 regional contests and advanced to a world championship. Only 6 teams from El Paso participate in this competition, the Robo Aztecs being the top performer. Congratulations to these students. They are Guadalupe Castillo, Felipe Carlos, David Wareca, Alexa Hernandez, Brian Hernandez, Leo Mercado, Moises Valadez, Andres Marufo, Kevin Estrada, Mariana Sigala, Luis Duran, Anaí Cuvelier, Amanda Borgado, and their sponsor is Gerardo Sanchez. Students, if we can please have you join the board for a photo. Congratulations once again. Our final recognition is for two Socorro High School students who demonstrated awesome writing and artistic skills in the Laws of Life essay and drawing competition sponsored by the Better Business Bureau of El Paso. The contest promotes honesty, respect, perseverance, and responsibility to help students become ethical, responsible, and trustworthy citizens of tomorrow. Congratulations to these winners. They are Faith Ramirez, and Adam Valles. Adam Valles was also a winner in the K-12 EPCC art contest earlier this year. So all right, congratulations once again. This completes our recognitions for this evening. Thank you.
Check your water, because I don't want to drink out of it.
We're going to continue with the agenda. We do have open forum. We do have one speaker. We greatly appreciate those individuals who have requested to speak to the board during open forum or in regards to a specific agenda item. We are bound by certain time constraints in order to cover all the items on the agenda, and therefore must limit presentations to 5 minutes. Please respect the rights of others in your presentation. By law, the board cannot take action upon, discuss, or any item in which is not posted tonight, tonight's agenda. But we'll give all presentations our serious consideration. Thank you. Let's proceed. George Corolla.
First time jitters.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Board President Gandara. Congratulations on your
Thank you,
election. Board members and Dr. Espinosa. I'm George Cordova. I'm president of the El Paso Mission Trail Association. And I'm here to thank the Socorro Independent School District, the Montwood High School Choir Program, and their director, Joe Estala. This past April 30th, we celebrated the 26th annual First Thanksgiving celebration in San Elizario. This year, we collaborated with Joe Estala and his outstanding choir program to produce the celebration and the Zarzuela Festival afterwards. This is not the first time we have collaborated with the school district, the first being in early 2000, when the Socorro High School Building Trades classes helped in the major restoration of the Socorro mission by learning to make adobe bricks and how to repair the damaged walls. The next time was in 2013 through 2015. We asked the Socorro High School Drama Department for students to wear our costumes and be part of the Sunbow meet and greet of the arriving Sunbow football teams. They came through with 15 students and were the hit of the celebration. The third time was this recent first Thanksgiving celebration with the Montwood High School program. They too were part of this year's Sunbow meet and greet and participated in the pageant as well. I believe we have a short, very, very short video clip to show you what the Montwood kids did for us, if they can play it now. Our mission of the association is to educate, promote, and preserve our historic missions. Working with the great students, with your great students, is fulfilling our mission. We have been extremely pleased with our collaboration with this school district, and so much so that myself, our First Thanksgiving Committee, will be meeting with your Fine Arts Director, Don Rominsky, his staff, and Joe Estala to ask that you partner with us in producing the First Thanksgiving for the following year and years to come, we hope. And also to involve not only one high school, but involve all the high schools in this project. This would be an excellent educational opportunity for the students to learn about the history of the Southwest. In the past, we have had professional groups put on celebrations for us, but it always lacked something. This year, working with Mr. Stala and his students, we finally brought our mission to new heights. We want to continue this collaboration, this tradition of collaboration, and I also want to thank board member Hector Gonzalez for attending this year's celebration and seeing how the kids performed and enjoyed themselves. One side note, it came to our attention after the play that the lead actor in the celebration, who is a student at Montwood High School, is a descendant from Don Juan de Oñate. How cool is that?
Wow.
Thank you for allowing us to work. Thank you for allowing us to work with your fine students, and I hope our collaboration will continue. On behalf of the El Paso Mission Trail Association and I thank you for your support. Thank you.
Mr. Cordova. Moving on to item number 7, public hearing. Every student succeed, formerly known as Nickleby, public meeting. Jeanette Williams.
Prepared to say President Rodriguez, and I'm going to change it. Good evening, President Gondara, Dr. Espinosa, members of the board. Tonight I present to you the annual report for Nickleby. This is a public meeting. Tonight we will be sharing with you information about the federal grants that we receive. Tonight we start out with Every Student Succeeds Act, or ESSA. The purpose of this is to, this is a new law, actually just replaces Nickleby and the Elementary and Secondary Education Act. President Obama signed this into law on December the 10th. And the new law continues to focus on closing the achievement gap for our most economically disadvantaged students. The slide that you see here talks about, it's a comparison of the two fiscal years, is 15-16 and 2016-17. This year, what you see here is 90% of the funds that we normally receive from the federal programs. This year, we will receive $9,354,947 for Title I, Part A. For Title I, Part C, we'll receive $158,194. For Title I, Part D, we'll receive $10,755. For Title II, Part A, we should receive $912,423. For Title III, Part A, LEP, we should receive $725,730. For IDEA-B, we should receive $5,645,386. And for IDEA preschool, we should receive $72,865 for a grand total of $16,880,750. The first part, again, is the Title I budget. I will share with you how we broke up the portion of it that the 30% that is planned reservations that go to the administration of the program. In 2016-17, for district-wide parent involvement activities, we will spend $244,250. For Title I, Part A, services to eligible private schools, we will spend $25,000. For Part C, the administration of Title I, Part A, including the eligible private school students and facilities for the neglected, we will spend $855,405. For district-wide professional development services, we should spend $70,000. On school improvement activities, at this time, we have not budgeted any because we're only dealing with 90% of the amount that we'll receive. As soon as we receive the additional planning amount, we will put in how much money we can expend there. For services to the homeless students attending campuses not served by Title I, Part A, we will expend $18,589. Going on to the next page, services to students residing in local facilities for the delinquent, we have set aside $25,640. For other district-wide planned supplemental instructional programs, at this time, we have not budgeted any money because we have to make sure that our account balances, and when we receive the additional 10% at that time, we will put money into that area. Our total reservations are $2,240,884, of which that comes out to about 30% of the and the total amount. For campus allocations, we put 70% of the money that we receive goes to the campuses. $48,463 has been set aside for campuses. Our indirect costs are $565,600. The next slide shows how money is allocated to the campuses. We do take the total number of economically disadvantaged students in the district and divide it into the amount of money that we receive to come up with a per student allocation. And then we take that number and divide it by the total number of students who are being served at that campus that are economically disadvantaged. The first slide shows you the totals that we're going to give to the high schools, which ends up being $1,972,334. The next slide shows the K-8 campuses. I'm sorry, the middle school, and that is $1,085,673. The next slide is the K-8 campuses. It comes out to $964,238. And the last slide is the elementary campuses. And their portion totals $2,615,091. Are there any questions at this time?
Any questions?
3 slides back, if we could, on the funds dedicated for the delinquent.
Is that the one?
No. One more. One more. Rather,
Okay.
G.
G?
Does that mean that there was a reduction on the people in those programs, or just a reduction in the monies available to them?
Are you talking about the services to students residing in local facilities?
Yes.
It's an increase.
Actually, we only receive about $10,000 for them. We, the $27,640 is only 50% of their salary. The other portion is paid out of career and technology. And there was no reduction within the amount that we receive for that is pretty small.
Thank you.
Any more questions? This is a public hearing. If there's anybody in the audience who'd like to speak on this issue, you may do so now, and please stand at the podium.
The next one I want to share with you is the migrant program. The purpose of the migrant program is to help migrant students overcome the challenges of mobility, cultural and language barriers, social isolation, and other difficulties associated with a migratory lifestyle in order to succeed in school and to be successful. The planning amounts for the migrant program, we anticipate receiving $158,194. Of that, $132,630 will go to payroll. $1,200 will go to contracted services. Supplies and materials will be $4,400. Other operating costs is $10,400, and the indirect cost is $9,564. Any questions?
Any more questions? Mr. Nakada.
Ms. Williams, to what do you attribute the reduction in the budget for the program?
Okay, remember that I'm only sharing with you 90% of what we will receive. TA does not release its planning amounts until June, and at that time, we have to do the application. But we have to notify the public of how we anticipate spending the money.
So then the first column for every single one of these, the 15-16 column is the entirety of the budget, and for the 16-17, it's only 90%?
It's only 90%, yes, sir.
Okay.
The next slide is Title I, Part D. And again, this particular money goes to our program that we have at Schaefer House, the facilities for the neglected and delinquent. We only receive, TA really does not expend a lot of money in this area. We receive $10,105. And again, we do make up the difference in their salary through Title I and Career and Tech. Any questions on that? Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer, who's going to do Hollyfield's part.
Good evening, President Gandara, Board of Trustees, and Superintendent Dr. Espinosa. On behalf of Dr. Holly Fields, I'm going to review Title II, Part A, Teacher and Principal Training and Recruiting Fund. Please note that the intent and purpose of these funds are specifically to provide financial assistance to LEAs such as Socorro to, number one, increase student academic achievement through improving teacher and principal quality and increasing the number of highly qualified teachers in classrooms, and also to ensure that we're being held accountable for improving the student performance in our district. The next slide you'll see as the budget was allocated based on this current school year and the anticipated 90% that you heard Ms. Williams speak to you about earlier. As you can see, it's broken down based by payroll costs, Both contracted services and supplies and materials are limited specifically because the money is focused in our employment with our team that helps support our campuses, our instructional officer, school improvement officer that leads that team. Any questions for Title II before I move on to Title III?
Any questions?
Mr. Gondeta? The operating cost, what is that? 6,400.
It's usually to pay for travel, travel and miscellaneous operating costs like sometimes if they feed teachers during staff development, those kind of things. The reason why you don't see any money there is because we're only dealing with 90%, and remember we have to make the budget balanced so that we have to look at the items that we absolutely have to put in first.
Thank you.
Moving on to Title III. My name is Jennifer Avila, and I am the Director for Bilingual in ESL. And the intent for Title III is specifically to ensure that LEAs such as Socorro provide supplemental resources to local agencies to ensure that our children who are identified as limited English proficient are attaining English at high levels in core academic subjects to meet, of course, our state standards. The following slide shows our budget that we currently have for the 2015-2016 school year, and based on the 90% that we are anticipating for the next school year, you'll see roughly about $31,000 in difference that we will be receiving less than this current year. Therefore, because of that, the anticipated payroll for the next school year would be slightly higher to ensure that every campus continues with a temporary instructional aid. These instructional aids are providing students with explicit and focused instruction, one-to-one support who are identified as ELL students, and are also providing them the assistance that they need to ensure that, number one, they're being identified correctly at the campus, and of course to ensure that they have the support they need to be successful. There is $0 allocated for professional contracted services and as well as other operating costs, as Ms. Williams described. You'll see a decrease in supplies and materials specifically because of the lower amount that we will be receiving this year. We wanted to ensure that our students have that one-to-one support in the classrooms at all times with the support of the temporary instructional aid. So every campus will be afforded to have a temporary instructional aid working with ELL students 19 hours per week. And what we were able to do with the budget is to provide the TIAs the support during intersessions in both the fall, spring, and summer. Are there any questions that I may address regarding Title III?
Any questions?
Now I will turn it over to Mr. Ortega.
Board President, Mr. Gondeta, Dr. Espinosa, Superintendent, board members, tonight I'm presenting on Idea B in the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. The intent and the purpose, these funds are intended to provide supplementary aid services and supports for students with disabilities from birth to age 22, so that instruction is provided in the least restricted environment. And it does say 22, and the reason it says 22, usually we state 21. But the reason we state 22, if a student is 21 as of September the 1st and turns 22 after September the 1st, the student is still eligible to receive services under our grant. On the budget, you'll see a comparison of the 2015-16, 16-17, and under special education, under not only 90%, but we refer to it as our tentative amount. So the number that you see there for the 16-17, $5,645,836 is the projected tentative amount for this coming school year. And from there, you have it broken down from payroll, $6,100, contracted services, $6,200, supplies and materials, $63, operating costs, $6,400, and last but not least, capital outlay, $6,600, and of course, we do have indirect costs as well. Are there any questions pertaining to Idea B?
Any questions?
Mr. Candela.
Mr. Nakana?
Mr. Ortega, so are these budgets as well presented at 90% of the expected amount for 16-17?
As expected amount, and usually we refer to them as a tentative amount. So we have a tentative amount, and then we have a roll forward. Any amounts that were not expended this year will roll forward next year, and then we get our final amount again coming sometime in June timeframe. So this is just a tentative amount to start off the school year.
And those amounts come from TEA, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
This may be indirectly. At 22, all the students go into under the state. Do they get a placement once they are out of the school? Or do they have to be put on some sort of a waiting list?
Well, when we start looking at transition services, sir, what you're referring to as our transition services. So obviously, we start looking at transition services between the age of 14 and 16. So we start looking already at post-secondary education and post-secondary employment. So if there is an agency that may be providing a service or benefits to some of our students, we will start inviting them once we have obtained consent from the parent, so they can start that process of transitioning to other services. Because sometimes there are some long waiting lists, so we want to make sure we get them early on the list if there is a waiting list. So when they're going to graduate from our school system, they're already up in that waiting list to start receiving services if there is an agency or organization that will be providing services to them.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
No, sir.
And the next one we have is, again, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Preschool. And again, the intent and the purpose, these funds are intended to provide supplementary aids, services, and supports for students with disabilities from birth to age 5 so that instruction is provided in the least restrictive environment. Once again, you'll see the tentative amount for the 16-17 is $72,865. And once again, it's broken down into our payroll cost, $6,100, supplies and materials, $6,300, and last but not least, $6,400 other operating costs and indirect costs as well. The majority of the monies under Idea B go into payroll costs for 2 of our paraprofessionals within 2 of our programs. And then the rest of the money is divided within the other line items. Are there any questions at this time pertaining to Idea B preschool program?
Any questions?
So at this time, that concludes our open forum for our federal programs. Thank you.
This is a public hearing. If there's anybody in the audience that'd like to speak on this issue, you may please step to the podium.
Mr. Chairman, I have more questions.
Okay, thank you.
I have more questions. Who would the questions be for, Ms. Williams? I guess this would fall to you. Ms. Williams, according to the information that we received, the deadline to submit this is on June 28th. We have, and it's got to be submitted to TEA.
Yes, sir.
It seems incomplete for us to present budgets that are at 90% of their funding value. And if I'm wrong, please correct me, but it doesn't sound like you're confident it's just 90%. If it is, then okay, I can do the math and get to 100%, but if we're unsure, then it doesn't stand for me to reason to say that we should be looking at the the $15, $16 amounts and compare them to the 90% of 16, 17. So if it really does represent 90%, we should have just done the math and compared total dollars to total dollars. Otherwise, I would have preferred to have seen the 90% that we knew at about the same time this year included in here as well. By the numbers presented, I can't tell whether something's going up, whether something's going down, whether something's being cut, whether something's being funded. So it just confuses me, and I believe it's a bit unfair. And so I would ask that if we can wait, I have no idea how much work is involved in this, but I can imagine it's quite a bit. But since we don't have to submit the application until June 28th, and since the same agency that we're submitting the application to is the one that is due to advise us of what the funding is, I think that even beyond this hearing, we should be able to see what a complete picture is of what these numbers are so that we can actually compare them and see what the real budget is and not what this proposed is.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, I guess I didn't.
No, you're absolutely correct. There are a couple of things that you have to keep in mind. This year, No Child Left Behind was reauthorized.
Right.
And so we're still waiting for TEA to submit their application so that they can actually tell us what their funding amount's going to be. And so it's safe for us to take 100% of what we received and just budget for the 90% because we know that we're not going to it's not gonna go below the 90%. And it's safer for us to be able to give to the campuses so that they too can begin to budget. If we wait until June 6th or when the planning amount comes out, then we also have to wait for the campuses to submit their budgets. The reason why we use the planning amount is so that we can give it to the campuses so that they can in turn go ahead and have their meetings with their staff, their campus improvement teams, so that they can figure out where they would like to place their money. They then give it to us, and then we go in and submit it as part of our application. The danger of waiting is that, number one, at this time we would have no budgets coming from the campuses. There will be nobody to plan with in June. And so there are a lot of factors in there. And you could also factor in the fact that if I waited to June 28th to put the application in, we would not meet payroll July 1st. So there are a few factors, and the reason why we go ahead and submit it now or give you a planning amount now is so that we could get the campuses to give us their information. And by the way, as soon as we get our planning amount, we go back in and we recalculate and submit to the campus. We have a line item, what we put it in, and then they have the freedom to move it. So there are several factors in it, and trust me, my accountants work on this to make sure that we're giving you the best figures that we have.
Okay, so I just don't think it allows for a sufficient comparison, really. I mean, because I'm looking at, I'm looking at an incomplete number, I guess, and I'm comparing 100% of one number against 90% of the other. And like, I can't tell whether you've allowed for, you know, the possibility of supply cost increases, of, you know, any resource increase, whether it be salary, supplies, I don't know, fuel, maybe if that's in here, benefits. I can't tell. Some numbers are going up, some numbers are going down. All I know is that I'm looking at 100% in one column and 90% in the other. And if we assume it's going to be 10%, you know, we could have just put an estimated number in there. I mean, I can certainly understand the desire not to put that number in there, because what if we don't get it, or, you know, there's a risk there. But I think the intent in open hearings like this is transparency and effective communication. And in my opinion, effective communication has failed because no one can tell what this is doing. Is it going up, or is it going down, or is it staying the same? And so if that was our intent, we've fallen short, and I think it could have been simple just by saying, okay, this column is 90%, there's a risk that this is all we're gonna get. Should we get the additional 10% that we're expecting, these will be the values, and as you can see clearly then, the budget's going up here, it's going down there, etc. I just, you know, it really helps a reader interpret without having to bring out a calculator like I did.
Yes.
That's it.
Mr. Nahara, what we can do is, once the budget does come in, we can share those values so that it is more transparent and we do have actual figures. So
Okay.
we'd be glad to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Any, Mr. Gonzalez.
One other question. Being that, sorry about this, all the monies and all the funding is not coming directly to the districts, and I don't think the state has actually made up their mind how they're gonna do that. You foresee a big problem next year?
For 16, 17, we don't really foresee any problems because we're still under the old Nickel-B guidelines. So we don't foresee any problems. It will probably be a little bit of, somewhat of a change for 17, 18, when all the law has been interpreted and then given to us so that we can, you know, implement it the way it's supposed to be done. But right now, everybody's in hold harmless because Nickel-B is still going to be in place in terms of the guidelines. So we don't really foresee any problem. And last year, when this was presented at 90% too. I'm not sure. It's the guidance from TEA that we're following with the 90%.
Thank you.
Mr. Gambetta?
Ms. Rodriguez?
Quick question, and I live this business as well, but I can't remember. When does the first disbursement of the e-grants typically come in, and then when does the second disbursement come in? Because I know they're spread out, and again, because I work on the special ed side, we do the grant application, and I know there's a certain percentage that comes in, and then later on in the year that additional monies typically comes in. When more or less, in other words, I guess the question is, and I can't remember, and again, just to be transparent, by when will we know exactly what the total amount of the grants that come in?
June 6th will be the first allocation. Okay,
thank
and then we draw down, because we don't get it all at once. As we use it, we draw down.
Right.
So the first time that we're going to know exactly how much money they're going to give us is June 6th.
Okay.
Keep in mind that we're going to close out June 30th, and then whatever money's left over is going to go into what's called a carryover. Okay, and that money is distributed to the campuses again in December.
But when does, and again, there's a certain time of year, and maybe Mr. Ortega can answer this question, and I'm not too sure, but there's a certain time of year when the allocation, there's an additional amount that comes in. It's not the whole thing right now, it's part of it, and then.
Part in December.
Okay.
Okay,
That's
part in
the
December,
question.
and then we're going to get the final allocation at the end of March.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you so much. That was the question, and sorry, I've been talking to my daughter about student loans and stuff, so I'm like thinking disbursements and that kind of stuff. But, so December, and then March is when the final comes in.
Yes, that's
Okay.
when they redistribute for campuses that decide they don't want the money.
Yeah,
Which is
and
usually
you know,
not.
I wasn't looking at what we give to the campuses, more the money that we receive from the federal grants.
But
from-
we do drawdowns every month. We
Right.
draw down money every month.
Okay, thank
Any
you.
other questions?
Any more questions?
I'm kind of old, I can't keep getting up and down.
Any more questions? There's no more questions. This public hearing is now closed.
Thank you.
District reports. Facility report.
Good evening, President Gondar, Dr. Espinosa, members of the board. Facility committee met a couple of weeks ago to review projects that are underway under the remaining 2011 bond, and then some additional projects which I'll be showing you tonight. Of course, we have the three HVAC projects, Slider, Sanchez, and Socorro. No pictures of the roofs, so I'll spare you with that. It would just be a white page. So we got a CO on one of the projects. That is Sanchez School. We're working to get the certificate of occupancy on the other schools. We're working with the main emphasis is the punch list, as I told you last month, and working with the roofing manufacturers to get the roof checked out and our warranty in place. The Region 19 Child Development Center, the one that we're building over in Options High School, that project has come along. That's an in-house project with our forces, our maintenance and operations department, building and construction and carpentry. That project is really moving along. It looks good. Actually, I was over there yesterday, and the walls are all up. They're actually taping and bedding and getting ready to prepare to do some painting. All of the sprinkler system, light, and electrical have been moved. So we're on schedule to get this facility up and running with Region 19 before the start of the school year. I do not have any pictures of that. The football field lighting and bleachers projects, they're underway. All three of them are underway. The main thing we're working with right now are with the electrical company, working out our easements so we can get power to our transformers and be able to hook up the lights. You can see Montwood, there's a lot of excavation and moving of dirt next to the track where the bleachers will go in. We have not started installing the poles yet for the lights because we're in the process of all three projects, relocating some irrigation lines and some underground utilities that are in the way. You can see Marcus High School, they had that retaining wall along the backside, and that is being removed. And we're also having to remove some buildings and stuff to make room for the bleachers on the home side. And then, of course, El Dorado, you can see we're redoing some of the underground and providing new conduit and stuff to the lights for the new poles. The transportation facility project, the project behind us, the new access road, we have got the design is almost 90% complete. We will be going out for competitive seal proposal, putting it out for bids. Our first advertisement will be this Thursday, and then we hopefully will bring to the board in June recommendations for that contract to do that access road to get a secondary entrance into the transportation facility. We'll also be doing some restriping and some work on the bulkhead because of that channel that runs across has been undermined in some of the pavement and stuff, and we'll be working to repair that. And then the Socorro High School HVAC project on the 3,200 and 3,100 wings, we've issued a notice to proceed. That work is going to start right at the end of the school year. 7.5 days of school's left, and we'll start immediately after that, and it'll be up and running before the start of the new school year. And we've got the contracts ready and moving. The other project we're working on is the electronic video scoreboard at the Student Activity Center. We are in the process of issuing out the trenching to run our cabling, and we'll also be drilling holes on the side where the athletic offices are for the secondary scoreboard, and that will be coming up in the next couple of weeks. Y'all have seen this, but that's basically the size that we're going to be looking at, and the model of the scoreboard will be various. We can also go to a full, take the scores and stuff out. So that's what you're ultimately going to be seeing for this coming year. In addition to the SAC, the aquatics, I don't have a fact sheet on that, but I can tell you today the city inspectors were there. They were there for about 4 hours. I was there for about 30 minutes and said, y'all have at it, look at it. Of course, Escontrias had 300 kids there too, and it was amazing to see those kids to walk into that facility and ooh and ah about. Some of them never been to a major swimming pool like that. But the good news is that we passed our inspection. The pool will be open for this summer, outside pool, and then we can start our proposal is to work on the interior pool and do the replastering of that. So the inspection is good for one solid year, so we did pass the inspection. We're also looking at redoing those steps or those stairs to those 2 slides. And in fact, there was a contractor out there today looking at that to provide us some additional quotes. That concludes my report. I'll answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Arrington?
Yes, President, if I may. Mr. Arrington, just for the board's reference and the audience reference, you mentioned the bleachers at Americas, Montwood, and El Dorado, correct?
That is correct, yes, sir.
And the question is, what's going to be the capacity of those bleachers at those 3 schools?
There are 800 on the home side and roughly about 400 on the visitor side. So we'll have about 1,200 total capacity at those fields. And that's similar to what we put in at East Lake and Pebble Hills.
Okay.
Any more questions?
I do. Mr. Harrington, I think the last time that we discussed the additional access way for the transportation, part of it was to facilitate the entry and exit for our district vehicles, the buses, right?
Yes, sir.
I don't know if it gets backed up, so that's my question, but I imagine it does because it now takes me like 30 minutes to get through Rojas, and you know, it's amazing. You can go across the entire city in 30 minutes on the highway, or you can move about half a mile from Bob Hope to Rojas, and then another, 15 minutes to get from Joe Battle past Pine Springs in that little stop sign. But do our buses get backed up as they're trying to go in and out from
Yes,
there?
I've been behind a few of them a number
Okay.
of times.
In the
Rojas-
interim, can we consider putting like a police officer to help the flow? I mean, I don't know how difficult it is, but, it concerns me that our, the buses would be arriving late, and if you're late to the first stop, you're late all along the way, and we have people waiting for us all the time. Is it that bad?
I see it at the four-way, you're talking about the four-way stop here.
No, actually, I was talking just trying to get in and out of the
Okay.
facility.
Well, I see
'cause-
it more at the four-way stop where they're actually coming back to the transportation facility and the buses are empty. So I'm assuming they've made their runs and stuff. So, but we can, with Ms. Macias and I, we can look at that and look into it. But it really doesn't back up too much here.
Just over there.
Just in that area. The secondary entrance is going to be a little bit further down, it's going to be on the edge of our property. We own 5 acres, 5 acres. We own some land next to it. I don't know how much. But it's going to be, you can actually, if you drive down there, you'll see a little where the erosion has,
Cleared
it out, made a creek bed or, it's almost at that point, and that new exit's going to come out of the transit. I told my guys I needed a site plan, and they didn't provide one for me, so I'll have a site plan for you next time. But it hugs our property line, and it comes out where the curb cuts are in Rojas.
Oh, okay.
Now, I can tell you, East Lake and Rojas this summer are going to be a nightmare because the design has been working on all of that, and you can see the construction of the new commercial development coming here. My understanding is that the actual physical construction of Rojas from roughly Bill Burnett to East Lake is going to start, and all the way up East Lake to Darrington it's going to start this summer. So we're going to be preparing for that. I'll get notices on that, and we'll work together with transportation on that. But everybody that comes up and down East Lake, it's going to be a nightmare this next year.
Well, hopefully the exchange from Joe Battle to I-10 East will be complete before that starts.
Right.
But, okay.
Any more questions?
No, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Harrington.
Thank you.
Sorry, Mr. Rodriguez? No. Thank you, Mr. Harrington.
Thank you.
Before we move on, I apologize. I would like to recognize, we do have a special guest in the audience. We do have our state rep, Mary Gonzalez. Would she like to please stand? Item B, grant updates.
She didn't do a pageant wave.
No, she didn't.
I want to see a pageant wave. There you go.
Good evening, President Carrera, Dr. Espinosa, and members of the Board of Trustees. This month, our Project SMART grant was extended. We received a 2-year extension, no cost extension on that grant to continue to use the existing funds that have residual funds. So that will take us through August 31st of 2018. Our Army Youth After School program is going to end this year. It will end the end of this year. However, we're going to receive another $46,000, slightly over that, for our final payment, and we'll have enough residual money that we should easily be able to continue on for 2 more years at our current budget. And hopefully by then things are still progressing where a lot of the districts are trying to get this back in place. So hopefully, but with, you know, maintaining our status quo, we should be fine to continue for 2 more years. For our special education military connected grant, we now have a new grant specialist who is getting the rest of our surveys in from our parents, teachers, and students, and we're getting laptops and books out before the end of the school year. And our Texas Supportive Homeless Education just completed a new renewal application for the 2nd year of this cycle for that grant. Grants submitted. Also, we submitted the McCarthy-Dresman Education. That's for 6th through 8th grade math and science at John Drugan High School. And we did a new Department of Defense Education grant for $1.5 million for over 5 years that we're still waiting to hear on. Other grants awaiting notification. Win Academy, we're still waiting for final word. 21st Century Pre-Kindergarten Classroom Grant with the AmeriCorps, and the Reaching for Excellence Nurses Grant at Alfita Chavez are outstanding. Applications in progress this month. I'm working currently on the Investing in Education, the U.S. Department of Ed. It's a $3 million grant. It does require a 15% private match. So, but we are hoping that Kellogg is going to come through, and we'll have some other things that will come through to provide that private match. In addition to that, we're going to be working on Wells Fargo, a $50,000 also for the Win Academy. Both of those will be for the Win Academy. Applications funded. We got the Rio Grande Council of Governments, $10,800 for recycle bins that we're getting for this year. Texas Education Agency, the high quality pre-kindergarten program was funded at $1,144,885 for this year. And then our Verizon PLTW, Project Lead the Way grant, was funded for our 8 middle schools at $160,000. And there were no grants, or all of our grants, we didn't receive any notice that that we weren't funded. Are there any questions?
Any questions? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Technology update. Mr. Moreno.
Good evening, President Gandara, Dr. Espinosa, and the rest of the board members. Tonight, coming to present to you an update on our Edmodo implementation. And on behalf of the Instructional Technology Department, we provide direct support for all curriculum and instruction occurring in our classrooms. With the support of technology, we have our individual state standards that we also have to address, and obviously want to line up with all of our college and career readiness standards to prepare our students and have them be future ready. So we've continued our commitment to that pledge that Dr. Espinosa signed a couple of years ago, and continue to make strides in implementing any type of resource that will help us, again, prepare our students for college and career. We are in the process as well of providing support for blended learning opportunities across our district in classrooms. And this simply means to take advantage of both face-to-face instruction that occurs on a daily basis, but also making effective use of that technology so we can provide online instruction opportunities. These online opportunities, combined with face-to-face instruction, allows our teachers to provide our students for addressing the 4 C's, critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and creativity. And by applying these 4 C's to their learning, we develop well-rounded individuals ready to move on to the next steps. And as social media is a more pervasive part of our culture and our daily lives. It's also our responsibility to address responsible digital citizenship in our students. And so Edmodo provides a platform for us to address all of these areas. When we rolled out Edmodo almost 2 years ago, one of the concerns was student privacy and the information that may be submitted on this platform. And so I've gone ahead and just highlighted, this is a direct copy from the Edmodo's privacy policy. And I wanted to just highlight a few things. Again, students, not any individual can create an account. They must be provided a group code that a teacher provides. So this really creates that safe learning environment that we seek to provide not only in physical space, but also in our online spaces. Again, the information that is provided within the platform is not rented or sold to outside companies. It's kept strictly within the platform and within the district. Part of the reason why we implemented the subdomain part of Edmodo was so that we would have that level of management at the district level. There is no opportunity for students to send private communications. Everything is out in the public within the classroom environment, so that again the teacher is in full control of all of the interactions between students and between student, parent, and teacher. When we started the initiative, the reason why we implemented the subdomain was we were contacted by Edmodo. There were already over 300 teachers who had accounts established with Edmodo, and so we implemented the subdomain in May of 2014, at which point we started promoting this among our campuses. And as you can see, over the last 2 years, we have had many of our teachers come on board and start using this platform. In much the same manner, there were already many of the students who were working with teachers, and we had well over 11,000 accounts created before the implementation of the subdomain, and equally, you can see that we've increased the number of students that are using the platform over the last 2 years. So one of the things that you want to know about these numbers is, because you'll go back and look at them and see that, oh, wow, we're almost at a maximum, reaching both our teacher and student enrollment figures. And at this point, we do have to consider the fact that there may be some duplicate accounts in the system, and that's just simply because Edmodo does not manage those accounts at all. Again, they allow for teachers to establish their accounts, provide those group codes to students, and it gives the students and the teachers the opportunity to delete those accounts when they see the need to remove them. Again, by implementing the subdomain, we are going to be able to also manage those accounts on our end. So our current plans are to start looking into a possible tie-in to our student information system, so that that helps us to manage those accounts much more efficiently. And as you can see in this last month, while everybody's minds were readying our students for the STAR assessments and having then the actual administration of those assessments, we still had a good, healthy number of teachers who were using the platform in their instruction. So this just kind of goes to show that the platform is being used and the teachers are finding value in what they're doing with the students. And this implementation has really supported many of the things that we're doing in the district. Again, our DNA initiative and our WIN Academies are providing those devices for students, so it's really providing the opportunity for our students and our teachers to fully engage in the platform. They're developing that proficiency with the system, not only through its use, but also in partnership with academic services. Our departments have incorporated Edmodo into our professional developments with teachers as well. And in fact, we have several administrators who have taken to Edmodo as a driving platform for many of their meetings as well. Again, we're going to be looking at the last two bullets as far as implementing a way and a more efficient way to manage those accounts as students graduate and or leave the district, and as well as teachers that end up leaving Socorro ISD. One of the really good things that happened this past year is that Microsoft Office 365 now is integrated in Edmodo. So again, that allows teachers, students to access their Microsoft documents and their OneDrives that we provide at the district level within the platform. So there's no need for them to be switching back and forth between platforms. And Microsoft is in the development phase, beta testing of a school syncing program, again, to help us manage those accounts. We anticipate that in the fall of 2016, when it is released, that we would have direct access to that program as well. And lastly, I'd just like to show you a couple of slides showing again how our students are being given that opportunity to collaborate. And we see some pictures here from elementary students that are using Edmodo, our our WIN campus, Socorro High School, where students are reviewing some of their key concepts through the use of Edmodo. Again, teachers are putting things such as assessments on Edmodo as well, so really forcing students to use those critical thinking skills as part of their activities. If you didn't notice, those are all being tweeted as well, so we're definitely making use of our social media platform as well. Our teachers are using that platform to, again, model proper digital citizenship and promote the good things that we're doing. So finally, here's another picture of, again, another one of our DNA campuses where the students are fully engaged in creating some of their own resources as well. So it's a platform that allows them not only to receive instruction from teachers, but also a place for them to place their own learning and their examples online as well. And again, at the district level and as far as teachers, instructional support staff, here's a couple of examples of one of our instructional officers who has created a space to support both our Sky coaches and our BFF Academy, our first-year teachers. So again, really using the platform as a way to be able to create community across the school district. And so thank you once again. I leave you with an image of one of our students at Jane Hambrick School, part of our WIN Academy. And this is part of the video that's on our main website. So I just wanted to leave you with a direct quote from him as to what part of WIN Academy he really likes. And he happened to mention Edmodo. So once again, thank you to the board for all of your support. And I will entertain any questions if you have any.
Any questions at this time? Thank you, sir.
Good evening.
SISD Health and Wellness Program, Ms. Macias.
Let me get it right. President Gandara, President Gandara, Dr. Espinosa, members of the board, Mr. Reyna, he dodged a bullet by having Mr. Moreno come. I couldn't help
We
but.
were waiting for that one.
Yeah, I know, I came after, so I had to share that. I'm here tonight to share with you a healthier team SISD. Back in January, we started the campaign, Vision Dr. Espinosa, and we want to make sure we bring in all of our health and wellness stakeholders together, and we've been doing that consistently. At this time, we're here to share our second component, and welcoming to our team is Mr. Albert Hernandez. This is his lucky number 7th week on the job. So he's here to share with you about our physical education department and where we are with our healthier team SISD.
Thank you, Ms. Macias. Good evening, President Gandara, members of the board, Dr. Espinosa. Thank you for having me. And I've been having a lot of fun in these 7 weeks. It's been a great experience thus far. So
And they're not being hard enough on you.
Say that?
If you're still having fun, they're not being hard enough.
No, I'm truly enjoying the
I'm just
people.
kidding.
Truly enjoying
I'm
the people,
kidding.
the coaches, teachers, everyone. I would like to begin the presentation by sharing with you that we are certainly looking to grow the department right away. The first 30 days of the plan, in my job, I'm looking to look at the curriculum. Curriculum certainly is the meat of our work in PE. And the CATCH program, CATCH stands for Coordinated Approach to Child Health. We currently have that at the elementary level right now as the curriculum that we utilize. So we're looking to update the training for our elementary teacher coaches that are providing that curriculum to our kids. We're also looking to enhance the resources that they have. So we're looking to supplement what they have in place at the elementaries to provide a richer curriculum to our kids. Thus far, I have observed great efforts by our elementary staff to provide great experiences that you'll see shortly in a video that we have prepared for you this evening. Generation Fit. Generation Fit is a new curriculum that we've been exploring. It's a secondary curriculum, 612, that I know fairly well because I was one of the first high schools as a campus principal administrator in Central Texas to implement this new program. Generation Fit programs and the curriculum is a very rich curriculum, so rich that the state has recognized it as something that they are looking and exploring as well to implement as a statewide curriculum in the year 2020. So if we were able to implement this and provide the authentic training that I know that is available and fairly inexpensive, that we can train our staff at the secondary level and begin the implementation process of this curriculum, we will be actually ahead of the game by the implementation of 4 years, phases in 4 different phases, that in the year 2020 will be ahead of the rest of the state with regards to the direction that the state is moving towards secondary PE curriculum. Additional targets that we're looking at is professional development in many capacities. Developing our people, our most precious resource in any district. The primary amount of our budget goes to the development of people, so we certainly are focusing our efforts and our discussions with developing people in the athletics and PE world. Also, you will see in a moment our new webpage. We've been working very hard. I believe technology and communication is very, very important to all departments. So our department is no different in that we've made our efforts to improve our communication and information that we make available on our athletic webpage. We are also providing, as much as possible, helpful links and resources for our community for a healthier Team SISD. Please enjoy the video. This is what the website looks like, and currently it's live. The video is live that you can see, and our stakeholders within our community can see the video, and you can see some of the links that I was referring to a moment ago there to the left. We will continue to add more links that, again, will be helpful for our community stakeholders with regards to updates on a national or world level with food and nutrition, exercise, and mental health. The video is about 4 minutes long.
Well, it's important to be healthy so we don't get sick. I like being fit because it helps me stay healthy, and it's a better opportunity for us not to get heart diseases.
I've always said, and I tell the kids this, that your health is the most important thing in your life. The core classes are important, but the core classes work on this. We work on
I'd like to take a quick moment to thank the Public Relations Department for putting the video together. We really, really appreciate their efforts in putting that together for us, so thank you. To proceed with our report and our update, our campus athletic coordinator work is something that I wanted to emphasize to you, school board, with regards to the dedicated work of our athletic coordinators on each of our middle school and high school campuses. We have been working hard and diligently with set agendas to provide a platform with vision, mission statements, and things that we're doing that we're going to set the tone for the work that we have in the summer. The athletic coordinators, certainly in this district, has provided opportunities for the athletic coordinators to work with the athletic department and directors in preparations for the next school year. So we have been working very hard in getting that new direction and getting some of the things that we want to emphasize to implement into the next school year. Professional development and leadership capacity is another emphasis of our work. And again, that work with the athletic coordinators is going to be critical in developing our coaches on each of our campuses. We have been also investing in some character education. That's something else that we've been exploring. Pebble Hills has one character education that they have implemented this past year that they piloted. We're looking at one that's a lot less expensive. Our current coordinators, we've just got these from Barnes & Noble. It's inside and out coaching, how sports can transform lives. Again, this is one book along with curriculum with cooperation with the NFL that we'll be looking at implementing and embedding character education traits within our sports programs at the middle and high school levels for sure. So we want to develop the whole child as it indicated there in the video. An update, not to step on Mr. Ianton's shoes there, but I did have a couple of additional accolades with regards to updates to the Aquatic Center. We're very happy to report that our middle school and elementaries have been enjoying field trips of different sorts in the spring semester this past month. We are looking at proposed closing dates for the fall let me back up. We'll be looking for closing dates in the summer for the competition area so that they can do maintenance and repairs and renovation type work to the competition area so that it's ready for the fall. And then in the fall, we're looking to close down the recreational area so that, again, we can get much needed repairs and maintenance on the recreational area. Therefore, in the springtime, we'll have a fully functional aquatic facility operating at a full head of steam. With regard to the SAC, I purposely kept this slide up so that you can see the excitement that we have with the newest edition of the newest varsity level scheduled high school that will be participating in our Socorro Athletic Complex, and that is, of course, Pebble Hills High School. So we look forward to hosting and having Pebble Hills High School represented. As you can see, that's the sixth emblem there that will be painted over the summer months and preparations for fall competition. We also look forward to hosting, of course, the fine arts and all those who participate in the SAC. We're also, as Mr. Ianton indicated, we're also excited to begin the construction phases of the new scoreboard. But just to add to Mr. Ianton's report, the scoreboard itself is actually 5 feet in each direction bigger than the current school outdated scoreboard that we have. So it's going to be quite a big score. It'll be the biggest one in the region. So we're looking very much forward to having that and hosting teams. As you can see to the right and left of the scoreboard, the mascots are represented with covers to the new speaker system and sound system that will also be put into the stadium. So we're certainly looking forward to that. In addition, the full screen allows for replays, but not only does it allow for replays, we feel that we certainly would like to work that scoreboard as a message board. So we certainly would like to dialogue with Dr. Espinosa in hopes that he would like to give particular messages to huge audiences with regards to attendance, SAT, the importance of different things that he wants to emphasize for the district. So we can certainly use it not only for replays, but we can certainly use it as an important message board to get important information out to our community stakeholders. Lastly, I'd like to show to you that this is an interactive digital board so that you can put the uniqueness of templates with regard to other sports as well. So it's not just one template. You can change the template to cater to other sports such as soccer, track, fine arts. You can put results because it's connected through a conduit and a computer that the one who is trained to operate that is going to be able to quickly put different type of information with regard to different performances of different sorts that we're hosting there at the SAC. So very, very happy that we're going to have that installed and implemented there at our Socorro Athletic Complex facility. In conclusion, we are a healthier team SISD. In our next update, we will be reporting on mental health initiatives and adult fitness. So we will continue to use state fitness gram data to see our progress in our work in the upcoming school year. Thank you very much for your attention. Do you have any questions?
Any questions? Mr. Ady.
I was wondering, you mentioned phases of implementation. What does that involve?
Of construction
Yes,
or
sir, of instruction.
I know that
It's going to take us 3 years to phase in. What were we talking about?
to phase in construction or the curriculum that I was referring to.
Curriculum.
The curriculum, yes.
Why
The
is it not
first year of the
3 years?
curriculum, it's an embedded curriculum that we can put. As a former campus principal, we started with the underclassmen and didn't allow for the class, for the Gen Fit class to be allowed for upperclassmen. They continued on their 4-year track and they continued on their graduation plan. But with this new curriculum, we allowed them to the school grew into the different phases of level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4 fitness, generation fitness curriculum.
Okay. And maybe I just don't understand what those phases are going to involve, because that kind of tells me it's going to take us 4 years to implement a program. You know, in 4 years, kids are almost out of elementary school. They're definitely out of middle school.
No, I think.
So maybe I'm misunderstanding what you mean by
I think
phases.
It's just at the secondary level. Gen Fit curriculum is not at the elementary level. I referred to the CATCH curriculum that we have and we will continue to have. So we're going to update the training for more recent training that is available for CATCH, that we continue to enhance that. The exploration of new curriculum was for the secondary level. And level 1 curriculum would be at the freshman level, sophomore, junior, and senior. In the phases that we would be moving it in. At the middle school level, it would go 6, 7, and 8 for middle school credit.
And the measure you're going to use here is FitGram?
Currently, there's one data point that we will use that's baseline data that we currently have with regard to fitness is the state mandated fitness gram information that all schools are mandated to collect.
What else do you plan to use?
Well, we can also use straight line data that is in-house. I know that that's what we used in my school, Stony Point, there in Central Texas, Round Rock ISD. It was certain different points where we can use other grade levels because FitnessGram only hits 4, 8, and 11. So we certainly wanted to capture these other grade levels so that we can have cohorts right next to each other. FitnessGram state level only tests 4, 8, and 11 random
So
kids.
we were doing everybody. Maybe you're looking at the state level, but we were FitGramming everybody.
I understand.
So maybe that's why I'm not. Depending what committee I'm on, I'd love to hear more about this, maybe at CNI, because there's certainly quite a few more things I'd like to kind of get some thoughts.
As I indicated, we're exploring it, but I have seen it successfully implemented in Central Texas, and the kids really turn on to this level of curriculum.
Well, we need something. I'm just very interested in see what are going to be our endpoints and how are we going to measure that.
Most definitely.
And go from there. But
Yes, sir.
something that would take more time than in a board meeting. Thank you.
Understood.
Any more questions? Mr. Lamont.
Mr. Hernandez, I just wanted to express my appreciation for the attention that we're given to PE at the elementary level. I think it's very simple for anybody to pay attention to high school level fitness. You have high school sports, and simply because of our interest in our kids, it's very easy to pay attention, and it's even fun, but in the elementary level where we're trying to establish solid foundation for our kids, it's unfortunate that many times and across the United States, PE is one of the first things that's sacrificed. It is sacrificed. So I'm glad to see that we're paying attention there, because you just look at our nation and the obesity problems that we're having, and you can't wait until we're in high school to establish those good fitness programs. You have to start when they're young. and making sure that they're having fun, you know, and the coach made a good point. I'm not even sure that in 45 minutes, you know, is sufficient either, but you certainly can't do it in 30 minutes. You know, so at any rate, I'm glad to see that we're paying more attention to that. I've heard about some other strategies that we're using, or objectives, or even investments that we're making to ensure consistency, to ensure that our students, our kids have the appropriate materials and all the right tools, because that's where the foundation comes, you know. So I'm just glad to see that, and glad that we're looking at that. Thank you.
Yes, sir. You're welcome. Thank you.
Any more questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Next item on the agenda is consent agenda. Is there any items to be pulled?
Mr.
C-
Randall, I'd like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, C4, please.
Mr. Gandara, I'd like to pull item E2, but I would like that to be postponed to after closed session, so that we can consult with our attorney.
Okay. Any more items?
F3,
F3?
I work there, yes.
Okay.
C2, what else?
We have C4, E2, F3.
Yeah, F6.
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 Okay. So we have, any more?
Motion to approve consent agenda with the exception of C4, E2, F3, and F6.
Second.
We do have a motion made by
Ms.
Ms. Rodriguez, second by Mr. Nakira. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item C4.
Discussion.
Oh, sorry, I apologize. Item C4.
Ms. Macias, I was just curious on the price that we're charging them.
Yes.
I believe I saw $20, is that correct?
What I have is, it's the one for Paso del Norte, is that correct? I
No,
have
ma'am.
$640.
No, ma'am, this is, I'm sorry.
Page 72, let me see. Which is for the Paso del Norte gym for a basketball camp?
Yes, ma'am, correct, I'm sorry, that's correct.
Correct. And what I have on my notes is $640, which is the use for the facilities fee.
Well, the question I have is, I saw
Yes,
it's
sir.
being charged $20 an hour?
Yes, whenever, this is an elementary school, so whenever it's the cafetorium, it's $20 facilities fee per
Also-
hour.
Okay, because I saw the other fees were $35 or $30. So
Correct.
it's based on the size of this campus?
Yes, it depends, and it's all in policy. It depends on if it is elementary, it's a different fee, middle school, high school, if it's a gym, if it's an outside facility, so on and so forth.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Motion to approve?
We have a-
Second.
We have a motion made by Mr. Guerra and second by Mr. Nakira. All those in favor?
Aye.
With discussion? Again, I apologize. Second,
Too late. F2.
F2. I'm sorry.
E2.
E2.
E2, the motion was to postpone it after executive
exactly.
session.
That's right. F3.
Motion to approve?
We have a first, we have a second.
Second.
We have a motion made by Mrs. Rodriguez, second by Mrs. Nakira. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And I abstain. I work at the college.
Motion to approve F6?
Second.
Motion made by Mrs. Rodriguez, seconded by Mrs. Nakira. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion
I
carries.
abstain. Work at the college.
We are now at new business. Consider approval. Okay. Who has some people that did sign up for, no, that's 10B. 10B. Consider approval of administrative certified contracts recommendations for 2016-2017 school year. Mr. Campoy.
Good evening, President Gandara, Dr. Espinosa, board members. I'm here tonight to request approval of 2 additional certified administrator contracts that were intentionally left out from the list that you received in March. On separate cover, you should have received the additional administrator contracts that we're requesting for approval for the 2016-2017 school year. And at this time, administration is requesting approval of those 2 contracts.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion made by Mr. Nakara, second by Mr. Guerra. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item B, consider approval for 2016-2000 employee compensation plan. Mr. Campoya. We do have 2 individuals that did sign up on this item. Would they like to speak now or after Mr. Campoya?
You're supposed to speak before the item.
Before?
Always.
Okay, before? We do have Ms. Veronica Hernandez.
Thank you. Good evening, Professor Gandara, Dr. Espinosa, and school board members. My name is Veronica Hernandez, and I am speaking to you as president of the Socorro American Federation of Teachers. I am sure by now you had an opportunity to review the district's budget, the Socorro AFT salary proposal. I am here tonight once again in company of several of our members to urge your support and consideration to our compensation proposal. Socorro AFT strongly believes that our proposal is reasonable, doable, and much deserved. Our teachers, counselors, bus drivers, custodians, etc., and all employees of Socorro Independent School District work remarkably hard, just like our superintendent, to make this district the outstanding district it is. We thank administration for their recommendation of a 2% increase off the midpoint, inclusive of a step, and the 14 cents equity parity adjustment proposal. However, these recommendations don't go far enough. Tonight, we're back to plead support of a 2% across-the-board salary increase for all employees, a one-time stipend of $1,000 for all employees, and a 20 cents equity parity adjustment instead of the 14 cents to impact more employees. We also strongly feel that there should be an internal minimum wage of $10,000, a living wage for all employees who make the least. We sincerely hope that your vote for compensation tonight is one of respect, appreciation, and support. Please show you care, pay for fair. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hernandez. Now we have Mr. Robert Rodriguez.
Good evening, Mr. Gandara, Dr. Espinosa, members of the board. My name is Robert L. Rodriguez. I've been with the district for 32 years. And you all know how come we're here today. All the people behind me, bus drivers, monitors, are here. I think we deserve more than the 2% you're trying to give us. I think we deserve 4 to 5%. We are professional drivers because we had to go out and get our CDL license. Plus, we had to go to be certified with a CPR. Also, drug tested. That's every random day. We'll probably get tested 2-3 times a week for a month. What about teachers? Okay, how much is gold worth? I estimate it's worth about $1,320 an ounce. An ounce, $1,300. And I'm just putting an example here. School bus student, say he weighs 115 pounds. Now I'm running an estimate for $1.65 a pound for gold, all right? Okay, say for example, it's $189.75 per student. Multiply that times 72. That's the capacity of a school bus, 72. That's a total of $13,608. One way. Remember, we transport them back to school and back home. That's a total of $27,216 per bus. and we got a fleet for 250 buses. And you all say we're worth 2%? Please think over. Go with 4 or 5%. Remember, we carry our children that are worth more than gold. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. Mr. Campoya.
Thank you, President Gandara, Dr. Espinosa, board members. It is with great pleasure that I present to you all the 2016-2017 Employee Compensation Plan. During the past few months, we have presented to you all during board workshops the compensation plan and the budget. Tonight, I will be presenting what administration will be recommending for the 2016-17 compensation plan. I will also include a presentation on the health benefits in comparison to El Paso ISD, Isleta ISD, Canutillo ISD, and Clinton ISD. The health benefits package is a portion of the whole compensation plan, and I think it's important to give you all a presentation to see the comparison between the school districts. Before I start the presentation, I do want to thank the Finance Department, Mr. Reza and Ms. Olson, the Compensation Division of HR, Ms. Stiles and Ms. Sarang, for working diligently in developing an affordable and competitive compensation plan across all pay families. I'd also like to thank Ms. Quintela for providing the research on the employee benefits comparisons with other districts. One last thing, I do want to point out that this compensation plan that we put together will provide competitive salaries and assist us in retaining highly qualified faculty and staff. Administration is recommending a 2% salary increase off the calculated midpoint, inclusive of the step for employees paid on the teacher or counselor salary scale. Teachers' increase will range between $1,047 annually to $1,265 annually. Counselors' salary increase will range from $1,103 annually to $1,187 annually. This slide gives you a graph as to where we fall in comparison to other districts. I do want to point out that in the other districts, the rate or the salary scale is the 2015-2016 salary scale. They have not published the 16-17 or the proposed 16-17. If you see on this slide, the blue line is representing Socorro ISD. So it does show very competitive, in fact, higher than the other three districts, the exception of one. This scale shows you the new minimum for our teachers. We will be bumping it up to $47,032, which will place us higher than three other districts with the exception of Clinton ISD. I also included the comparison at 5, 10, 15, 20, and 25 years. So it does show that we would be very competitive with other school districts. All other pay families will receive a 2% increase off the midpoint of their respective pay scale. And this would include paraprofessional, auxiliary, technology, and administrative pay families. The health benefits package, I'll be including 3 slides with 3 different plans. The first plan is a high deductible plan. Socorro ISD is the first column. Then you have Isleta ISD, El Paso ISD, Canutillo ISD, and Clinton ISD. The first row is the employer contribution. That's how much Socorro ISD contributes to the plan for the employee. And each district has their contribution. The important one to see is the employee only. Socorro ISD still remains at 0. The other district is El Paso ISD with their high deductible plan. And the other districts, and Canutillo ISD, the other districts do charge a minimal amount. You also have the employee and spouse, employee and children, and employee and family. The base plan, this is where we have the majority of our employees. Employer contribution is the same, $500. Employee is still at 0. Now, if you look at the other districts, there's no other district in the region for the base plan not charging employees. Employee and spouse is $280. If you look at other school districts, they are somewhere close to double the amount that we charge our employees. Employee and children, same thing, and employee and family. The Premier Plan, we also have some of our employees on the Premier Plan. We still have the 500 employer contribution. Employee, we charge $60 on that plan. We are still the lowest from other districts. Employee and spouse is $435. Employee and children is $280. And employee and family is $640. And at this time, I'll entertain any questions. The administration is recommending approval of the compensation plan as presented.
Any questions for Mr. Campoya?
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Mr. Campoya, can we go back to the benefits? There you go. Just scroll back to the high deductible, the middle, and then just so I could take a look at it again, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so in comparison to this, we're paying $500 per employee, and the employee doesn't pay anything on the first two plans, the high deductible, or the next slide, please, or the base plan, right?
That is correct, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so when we're looking at the highest plan, the next slide, the Premier Plan, our employees are only paying $60, and then when you compare that to, for example, you said Clint ISD was the highest paying salary. So even on the Premier Plan, you're comparing the $60 if our employees decide to purchase this plan to, let's say, the 304, and I don't have my calculator with me, but the 304 times the 12 months would be $3,600. So if we go back to the actual, there you go. So if we're looking at, for example, 0 years minus the $3,600 that it's going to cost, we're still ahead of the game.
That is correct.
Okay. Yeah. Because if we subtract the 3,600, which is again the Premier Plan, even at the midpoint plan, we're still looking at, even though, for example, some of these districts pay higher at the zero, well, just the one district actually, with the benefits, with the medical insurance, it's going to come out considerably less than what we offer.
Yes.
Now, when we're looking at the actual benefits package, when we're recruiting teachers or recruiting staff, is that made clear?
Yes.
Do we have that, like, again, something like this so folks can compare it?
We have a brochure when we do job fairs, but the only thing we have on our brochure is our health insurance plan. We don't have a comparison of other plans.
Okay. That might be something that we'd want to consider, again, just kind of showing side by side, because people are going to look at the bottom dollar. Essentially, they're going to, wow, this district is offering me a job, and they're paying, $1,000 or $2,000 more a year. That's going to be very appealing. However, when you look at some of the benefits packages, by the time I pay that, or if I'm the sole breadwinner of the family and I have to provide health benefits or health insurance for my spouse and my family, that's where it really makes a huge difference. So maybe that might be something that we'd want to do, at least to kind of show some comparisons, or even share that information with some of the folks that are looking to come into the district.
Definitely.
The folks that stay because they know, we've got excellent benefits. But that might be something, again, when we're out recruiting, or when we're out looking at staff coming in, I think that might be something interesting that might benefit.
Definitely.
Might be, some points for us anyway.
I will add it to our brochure so that we can use it as recruiting as well.
Any more questions?
I do.
Mr. Nakana.
Mr. Campoya, and just looking at the teacher pay salary, or the teacher salary scale here, and even the graph before that, if you look at the comparison lines, I noticed that at line 15, we seem to drop off I'd be interested to see if we have a disproportionate number of teachers leaving our district after 15 years, simply because of that reduction at the 15 years, where it seems everybody else is pretty much going, if you look at their trend, it's pretty steady all the way through, and ours just seems to fall there. And I wonder if we're losing some of our most experienced teachers prematurely, simply because, we fall behind in other areas there. It'd just be interesting to know whether that's something that we ourselves are causing. Mr. Campoya, on what about our other, well, let me ask this question first. During open forum, the comment was made, and I don't know if it's deliberate. The presentation was 2% across the board. How does 2% across the board differ from 2% off the midpoint?
The majority of our employees in an auxiliary pay scale fall below the midpoint. So therefore, if you calculate a 2% across the board, it comes across from what the employee is earning, which is going to be less than using the midpoint. The midpoint is always higher. But in running reports, the majority of our employees do fall below the midpoint. That is the reason why historically we've used the midpoint as our base to calculate this salary increase.
Okay, and so for clarification on that, when you tell me the midpoint, I'm thinking the middle. So I would assume half would be below and half would be above. But for clarity, you're not talking about the midpoint of the salaries that we're paying, but rather the pay scale.
That is correct.
And so you're saying that most of our employees fall below or towards the lower end on our salary scales. Therefore, it is to our employees' benefit to calculate it off the midpoint rather than their own salary, because it's a greater increase,
Yes, sir.
correct?
That is
Okay,
correct.
so I just wanted to be clear on the midpoint. Let me see. I did ask for some information. I certainly want everybody to know that decisions like this aren't made blindly, and certainly aren't made on a whim or with lack of information. I know that the AFT asked for included four different recommendations in their proposal. And I know that the impact of those proposals, because of the calculations, is about 13.367 or something like that.
$13,278,406.
Okay. All right, I rounded up, I'm sorry, 13.3. $13.3 million, certainly not, an amount that can just be neglected. You can't just say, all right, $13.3 million done. It's a significant impact to the budget. But how is it that and I think Mr. Reyna's not here, and he's smart for not being here. Perfect time to Mr. Reza, yeah, not Mr. Reyna. Mr. Reyna, do you want to answer budget questions for us? Very opportune time for Mr. Reza not to be here, but why are we approving the salary budget right now? I mean, I think it's premature, maybe, because although I do understand that this is administration's recommendation, and if we approve it now, that doesn't have to be the end of it. But as we sit here and consider, number one, I understand every single proposal that we've had to this point is a deficit budget. So no matter what, our intent is to establish a budget that is going to decrease the general fund, because we are going to, and of course, it'll be a balanced budget, but it's because we're drawing from the general fund rather than, maintaining it even at zero for that matter. But why are we, if we don't have a complete picture of the budget right now, why are we moving forward with salaries right now? In other words, how do we know, at least at this point, without having adopted or considered and adopted all the other ones, and we have another budget workshop coming, so, you know, I know that the entire leadership team, being what it is, isn't asking us to come in for a budget workshop just for fun, because you guys want something else to do on yet another late evening, you know, but to talk to us, right? I know we're very enjoyable, but not that much. So, why are we doing the salaries right now?
And that's a very good question. Mr. Resta's not here, but I do have Susan Olsen. I don't know if she knows the answer to that question. The only thing I can think of is historically that I know of, we have presented it to the board in May. But as far as the reason why it's presented before the budget, that I don't know the answer. I don't know if Susan knows.
Good evening.
Good evening.
President Conrad, Dr. Espinosa, board members.
Ms. Olson, just one more question, I'm sorry, for clarity. That 13.2, I'll round down this time, $13.2 million was in addition to the calculations that are already factored into the budget, right? So it would be an additional $13.2 million impact beyond what is already included in the current proposal.
Right, which would end up being a $20 million deficit if we adopted that.
Okay, sounds good.
In the past, it's like we have actually adopted the compensation plan in June, at the same time that we adopted the budget. I actually think it makes more sense to adopt it right now because we know exactly what the compensation plan is going to cost. The budget that we have presented to you in the budget workshops, it does include a 1.5% increase off the midpoint for all of the employees, the teachers, nurses, librarians, and auxiliary paraprofessionals, technology. So the $7 million deficit does actually reflect a 1.5% increase for everyone. So the additional 2% is going to be another million, or I'm sorry, it's like the 2%. So the difference between the 1.5 and the 2% is actually another $1 million, about $1.2 million with fringes, and the equity increase, I believe, is going to be another $1 million. So that pushes us up to about a $9 million deficit that we'll adopt if we approve the compensation plan that Mr. Campoya is recommending.
Okay.
So the budget does include, you know, it's like the 1.5% increase.
Okay. So why are we doing the plan right now?
Well, I think so it'll be a known.
Basically, so we can.
So it'll be a known number.
Okay.
Right. And we know what that number is. And what that helps us do is when we publish the book, the actual budget book, it'll be final. Last year what had happened is we published a book, the budget book, and it wasn't exactly final. So you saw that the use of fund balance go from $8 million to $88,000. So that was like really odd. But it ended up being we adopted a budget with a fund balance, use of fund balance of $88,000. So, but that was mostly due to the revenue.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Ms. Olson, one of the questions I frequently get is that, you know, Socorro ISD has $90 million in reserves. Do you know what 1 day's reserves is worth, 1 day's cash on hand?
That I don't know. It's like,
That's okay. I do. I asked. It's
We
$1
can
million.
get that information for you.
$1 million is what I was told by Mr. Ressa.
Okay.
And so, just standard sound accounting practices state that, and I previously said that it was a law. I was wrong. I know I told some people it was a law. I was wrong. It's an accounting principle, accounting guideline. And so any stable going concern, any business that expects to be in business in the future, follows the practice of having at least 60 days cash on hand. And so the math is simple. If we spend about $1 million a day and we need 60 days to be fiscally sound by anybody's measure, especially bond rating agencies, because our interest rates get a lot higher real quick if we don't have the guarantee of financial stability. So that's about $60,000. So I wish accounting principals, $60 million, I'm sorry, I wish it was 60,000. $60 million. So I wish that accounting practices were very clear and concise and say you must have or you will pay, you know, dire consequences. But because it I think makes things difficult to understand that we really don't have $90 million that we can play with. We have about 30 because we have to have 60, otherwise the consequences for us as far as costs go are swift and significant. And all the benefits that we've been able to have, I mean, just last board meeting, we were able to refinance some bonds and get better interest rates because of that. So, okay, so I'm just doing the math. We have about 30, and with the proposal, that would take about 13.2. If we consider all the other ones, then that gets us closer to 20. So we'd be left with about 10 million in fund balance.
And the one thing to remember is how we get our money from the state. And before we had this huge reserve, we used to have to borrow the money for the first payroll. And our first payroll was $20 million.
Okay. 20 million.
So imagine the interest on $20 million.
Okay.
And that was way back in the day. I've been here for 17 years. So the first year I was here, it's like the first few years that I was here, we were borrowing the money for the first payroll.
Okay.
Mr. Nahid? Any more questions?
No, I have a comment. I certainly want to thank administration for giving a lot of hours and time to the proposal of the budget. Many of the people in the room have been through all of the budget workshops and heard similar information. I do want the folks in the audience to realize your requests and your thoughts and your concerns don't fall on deaf ears. Certainly the associations that are here, you're doing exactly what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to advocate for your employees. Our job is to listen to you all and listen to administration and try to make the best decision possible. I've told you that for my part, what's important is the health of the district. You know, even during tough times, we've kept the family together and we've moved on. We don't know what exactly is coming down the pike. We know that the lawsuit at this point is dead in the water, so any extra monies that were coming there are not coming. We're already into a deficit budget. I would rather, when we need to give a little bit less and keep everybody employed, keep them with their compensation as far as their benefits, than us having to be sitting here discussing layoffs or how do we downsize or how do we change things. Many employees from time to time, more than I would have expected, have come to me once they've been in need of our insurance and benefits and have been very appreciative of what our benefits cover. You know, ladies and gentlemen, our benefit package is better than some federal packages. And those of you that study packages as far as insurance know that. None of us ever know when we're gonna get ill, how severe that's gonna be, and I would hate to neglect that somebody's child or somebody's family member cannot be moved up to a referral hospital because the insurance doesn't cover. I know a person that works for the city of El Paso, needed to go to the Mayo Hospital, and they said, we don't take that insurance. We're not in that situation. We try to take care of you all. We try to look at the best health of the district. You saw the salaries. We're not very low. I think we all would like to make more money. I work at the college too, and I would like to make a little bit more money. But at the end of the day, we are trying to look after your best interest and the interest of the district. Pursuant to that, we have the equity adjustment where we're trying to fix what we did last year and trying to bring the scales up because there were some people that were very low. For my part, the $10 minimum wage may or may not be a bad thing, but folks, if we did that today blindly again, we would do the same thing we did last year. Bump up the bottom, and somebody that's making $10.01 today and been with us a number of years now would be like a new employee, and that's not fair to them. I think it's something worthwhile looking for in the future, but not just say bump up the minimum wage to $10. We need to look at these things clearly like we have in the past. And I think our administration has made every effort to do that. I'm in your corner and I'm in our employees' corners. I'm your biggest advocate. I realize that our teachers, our staff The first faces that come through that our children see when they come through the door, custodians and the staff at the school are very important. Our bus drivers carry a humongous responsibility, police officers. But at the end of the day, I think we need to continue to look after the best interest of the district. We did start with 1.5. We were able to afford 2%, even though we're in a deficit budget. We're hoping we're gonna make the difference over the long haul. Every year we've been able to afford some form of a raise to our employees, and we will continue to try to be, as true to that as possible, as money allows. And so I'd like you to understand for our part that your efforts did not fall on deaf ears. At the end of the day, we have to look at planning now, long range, and try to keep the best interest, and not the best interest, the health of the district, which includes your jobs and your employment too. So with that, I'd like to make a motion to approve Mr. Campoya's recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion made by Mr. Ayub, seconded by Mr. Gonzalez. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next item, item C. Consider approval of the list of employees receiving a pay adjustment within auxiliary, paraprofessionals, technology, and administrative pay families. Mr. Campoya.
Good evening, President Gandara, members of the board, Dr. Espinosa. As Mr. Ayub was mentioning, we have been working on what we were calling an equity adjustment for experience within SISD. So my next presentation is to provide you with the information that led us to recommend an adjustment for all pay families, which affects several employees. We are calling it a comparability adjustment for total years of experience in SISD. The purpose of doing this study and adjustment is to bring equity within years of experience. Individual pay equity is defined as individual employees are paid appropriately relative to colleagues in the same pay grade with the same level of knowledge, skill, or experience. So that's with that purpose in mind. This is a pay structure to give you an idea of what challenges we were facing with our current structure. This is a picture of our pay block. I only have two. If you were to see our pay block, normally they have 9 pay grades. I'm showing you 2. The blue side shows you 2 pay blocks. The left one would be the lowest pay block, which would be level 1. And then the second one is level 2. Then you have the minimum, the line in the center is the midpoint, and the line on the top is the maximum. So the example I'm showing you is an electrician. If we have 3 electricians, you can see that right now you have an electrician with 5 years below the midpoint. Then you have an electrician with 3 years above the midpoint, and then you have an electrician with 10 years close to the maximum. Historically, salaries have been calculated in different methods, which led us to have this disparity among employees. We used to have a promotional increase, which was a calculated figure, which really never gave us any set figure for maintaining parity among employees. Now, the other issue we have, if you look to the second pay block, you would have employees like electrician 2s in that pay block. So you would assume, well, an electrician 2 should be making more money than an electrician 1. So the issue we have there is you would see an electrician 2 with 7 years making, or lower than the midpoint, making probably less than an electrician 1 with 3 years. So those are the issues and challenges that we were facing, and that's the reason why we decided to do something about it and do an equity adjustment to try to bring employees up to their level. The proposed structure, which would be the one in the tan colored, gives you the idea of what we're trying to accomplish with this equity adjustment. That way we can group the employees within their years of experience. So the demonstration here shows the electricians 1, the one with 3 years would be at the bottom, then the 5 years, and then the 10 years. And then of course, it brings up the other ones in the other pay grades, which the electrician 2 in this case would be where they belong. That is our goal in trying to propose this pay adjustment. This is the infamous, or the famous, 14 cents that we've been discussing through board workshops, and 20 cents. Questions have come up as to how did you come up with 14 cents? How did you come up with 20 cents? Really, there's no set way and reason why we came up with that. We played with numbers to try to gather as much employees that would benefit from it. And through workshops and through the HR committee, we threw some numbers and during the presentation. Originally, we had 13 cents and 14 cents. The recommendation was to maintain equity with the different pay scales at 14 cents, and of course do one 16 cents, 18 cents, and 20 cents. With 14 cents, we were able to have 1,112 employees that will be impacted with the 14-cent equity adjustment. The way it works on the left-hand side of your screen, you have the numbers 0 through 10, which represent either the step or years of experience. The 14 cents are doubled as you go down the scale. For example, 0 years would be 14 cents. If you have one year experience, 28 cents, and so forth. So that is the theory behind the way we did the equity adjustment. We have a total of 2,348 employees in all the 4 pay families that are being affected, which is the auxiliary, paraprofessional, technology, and administrative. And again, 1,112 employees are being impacted. With that said, on separate cover, I did provide you with a list of employees that will be affected with the adjustment, and it ranges from, I believe, $200 to up to $12,000, depending on the employee. And at this time, administration is recommending approval of the list that was provided to you on separate cover, and I can entertain any questions.
Any questions?
Questions?
Mr. Nakada.
Mr. Campoya, so going back to that table with, one's first there, that one, perfect. Does that mean if I come into any position with 2 years experience, I look at the minimum for that specific pay grade that I fall into with 2 years of experience, we would add 42 cents to that minimum, and that's what my salary would be at?
No, not necessarily. We would compare you with other employees at the same pay grade, which is right here on this explanation about individual pay equity. That's basically the process we would take with new employees. Because it is not a step scale, and that's important to, and I'm glad you brought that question. That's important to reiterate that we're not creating a step scale like we do with teachers. We still have the block system, which is minimum, midpoint, and maximum. Within that block system, we place employees, depending on their years of experience, comparing them with someone else. So that's what we're trying to accomplish. Now, in some cases, your example may be correct, but not all the time.
Okay. I'm just, so my concern is how do we prevent ourselves from getting here again? How do we introduce structure so that, 5 years down the road, we don't find ourselves in the exact same place where we have employees with 15 years and we're hiring new employees and they're making more than the 15-year experience. So, we're not doing that right now. Is that part of the plan? Because I kind of understood that was the purpose of doing this, to prevent that from happening again.
That is correct. And right now, since 2007, we started giving employees years of experience, credit for years of experience, to place them where they're compared to another employee. However, a lot of this disparity was before 2007. We have a lot of employees that have been here longer than, or prior to 2007, and those are the employees that are falling off the scale to create this disparity. But from 2007 on, we have implemented that system where we give them credit for the years of experience. Now with this, since we're only giving credit for years within SISD, we have to be very strategic when we're placing a new hire, because in some cases, we may not be able to provide that new hire with all the years of experience. Now, I've done extensive research with other districts as to what they do, and there's so many different methods that districts use. Some do give 1 to 1 year of experience, some give 3 to 1 years of experience, some give in blocks. If you have 3 to 5 years experience, this is where you're going. So what we're going to be doing is taking each case individually and of course using it as well for recruitment purposes, because if we have, for example, a plumber that comes in with 10 years of experience, we can't place him at the minimum. If not, they're not going to take the job. What we would do is a comparability report to place him where it's competitive and where it's not going to make this disparity even worse for us.
So a plumber, Mr. Campaya, with 10 years of experience would never be placed at the minimum, right? Because
that is correct.
Only a plumber with no experience would be placed at the minimum, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that makes sense. Do we, so again, I'm not sure that this is going to solve the long-term problem. I think more than anything, there's a couple of things we can do. Number one, don't negotiate, you know? I mean, we offer the salary. If you like it, great. This is a wonderful place to work. We've got an excellent benefit package. If you don't like the salary, you know, call us if you change your mind. You have 24 hours. Thank you very much. You know, negotiating gets us in trouble, and I know because I have some employees that report to me who make way more than I do. I should have had them negotiate when I was being hired, you know, but that's the way the market works, right? And so that's one thing, but if we don't stay consistent, if we don't establish, you know, guidelines and then adhere to them, that also gets us in trouble as well, because then that's when we have that disparity between where essentially we punish those that are loyal to us. And while, you know, we don't want to encourage employees who have been here a long time to leave the organization because, you know, they've got the years experience now and they know us, they know the way we do our processes. I was going to say business, but, you know, I don't necessarily want to, they just know our processes. They know how the district works, and they know everybody in the district, you know, so there's a certain level of efficiency in there as well. Unfortunately, though, I mean, sometimes leaving an organization is the only way, and I know that too because I've done that as well. Do we have the guidelines now, and does something like this allow us to establish that consistency so we don't end up here again?
Yes, and we have, ever since I was named the chief, we implemented procedures manuals in every area in HR. One area was compensation, to make sure that we follow the same guidelines for our own purpose. What we're doing right now is employees, and what the challenge we were facing is employees were submitting resumes to prove the years of experience. We changed that process to where now we require a verification of employment letter from their previous employer with a signature. And in some cases, if it's a shady letter, we even call the employer to verify that information is correct. The reason we started doing that is because we caught several new hires altering their resume to show more years of experience. Now, these are employees that have never worked in education, so we can't confirm with a service record because they don't have a service record. So that's the challenge that we were facing, which now with the letter verification of employment, it's much better. Now, we also have an HR strategic plan, which we're implementing with the equity adjustment so that we won't fall back into the problem or the challenge that we've been facing. So yes, to answer your question, we are putting everything in writing to make sure that we follow it with every new hire.
Okay. Any questions?
Any more questions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion made by Mrs. Nakara, second by Mrs. Rodriguez. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item D, consider approval of adding O'Shea Callagher, John Drugan School, and Jane A. Hambrick to the facility assessment study. Mr. Ianton.
Yes, sir, President Gondela, members of the board. I believe on page 69 is our agenda item sheet. What we want to do is add these 3 schools in order to have them assessed, in order for us to provide a little bit better comprehensive facility details for the boundary research. This information will be required, in some of Ms. Macias's information that she will be putting together when we do the boundaries. The assessment will not be as in-depth as the facilities that we are currently assessing, but what it'll do, it'll look at the education adequacy and develop schematic concepts to estimate these projects if they were to be converted into a pre-K hub or a middle school. The 3 facilities would, pending your approval, would be added to the facility study, which is currently underway, and it will fall into basically this existing timeline that we have established. What we are currently looking at, we're close to June, and we're already getting some preliminary demographic studies, and the overall complete document should be completed at the end of June, and then we would they would come and meet with administration, and we would then get with the board to determine how we would present all this information to you, possibly in some type of board workshop in July. But to add these 3 facilities at this time would cost $9,000. Administration recommended the consideration and approval of adding O'Shea Keller, John Drugan, and Jane Hambrick to the assessment study.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion made by Mr. Hayes, seconded by Mr. Guerra. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Item E, consider approval of renewing tower leasing agreement with Crown Castle GT Company LLC at Student Activity Complex. Mr. Ianton.
Yes, we have been working on this for, a long time. The legal counsel and myself have been going back and forth with this particular company. This cell tower is located at the SAC, and currently it is one of our 5 existing towers that we have under the old terms, and it really doesn't expire until February 28, 2020. So there's a couple more years on the original lease. However, Crown Castle has approached SISD to extend that. Initially, they wanted an extended 5-year terms, taking it all the way out to 2035, I believe. However, when we had our last discussion about cell tower, we basically determined some quote-unquote non-negotiables. That basically the initial term would be a 10-year term with 2 5-year terms added to that upon approval of the district. And then we would up the rental agreement. We have presented that to Crown Castle. They came back and said that they hadn't really said anything. They've seen our proposal. However, when they came back to us for the 5-year terms, they offered a $10,000 bonus, once we signed the dotted line. We kept that in there. And so we're basically developing the terms from the original one that we did about 2 years, if you recall, the AT&T lease at the Socorro High School. So we can either approve the terms now, or we can wait to see if Crown Castle has anything to come back with. And we have been working with the legal counsel, and we have not heard anything. We presented everything to Crown Castle, but I was under the impression that Crown Crown Castle wanted something done pretty quickly because they have to go out and get their contracts tied down and everything. So, but we have basically put all of the non-negotiables that we had in the AT&T contract into this new contract.
Any questions from Mr. Arrington?
So, well, yes. So if this isn't fully negotiated, if we approve it tonight and we say, hey, the board approved it, are they gonna come back and say, well, but we don't agree with it? I mean, I don't wanna approve something unless it's been negotiated, if they've agreed.
And we talked about that, but I'll let Mr. Blanco explain that.
Good evening, Board President Gondeta, Dr. Espinosa, members of the board. We've gone back and forth with them several times to discuss the terms, and we have told them in the last go-round that this new version of the lease includes all the non-negotiable items the Socorro wants. That was 3 weeks ago, shortly after the last board meeting, so we haven't heard back from them. This version would be something that we would present to them and say, the board has approved this version of the agreement. Do you accept it or not? Now, you're correct. If they say, no, we want to make a change, then we'll have to tell them, well, that change that you're requesting has to go back before the board, either to be accepted or rejected. If you want to delay it, we can table it and we can wait to hear back from them, but we don't control their response to us. And so we're a little frustrated by not being able to get our version of it in front of you all and approved. This is the version that we want to recommend and that we would like to have approved, but if you want to table it and wait and see if they come back with more changes, we can do that.
Well, I mean, you're in the middle of negotiation, I mean, for argument's sake, they could come back with something that's a benefit to us. Or once we provide our copy and say this is what we've approved, they may say hooray and go running into the night because we offered much less than what they were willing to pay or willing to deal with this contract. I really think these things need to be negotiated so that,
Well, they have
we're prematurely agreeing to something that hasn't been fully negotiated.
Well, they have this version of it. They've been
Right.
sent this version, so our offer to them is on the table and they know what it is. We're not in a position to go back to them and ask for more. I don't think that they'll come back and offer us more than what we've put in front of them, so I don't see us giving up anything in that regard. I think the issue still remains the length of the term of the lease. They wanted large block terms taking us out into 2030 something, and we said no.
Over the line is,
If you all are comfortable tabling it, we don't have a problem with that. This isn't something on our end that's time sensitive. It doesn't end until 2020.
Yeah, we're still on the.
you know, for argument's sake, they're the ones in a rush. They're the ones that want to lock this down so they can lock down a rate. If they're not interested in talking to us, then what's the rush? It's my thought.
Mr. Gondeta.
So, oh, you have, I'm sorry.
Mr.
I
Blanco.
gotta make a motion.
So, Mr. Blanco, our current agreement is with AT&T, right?
We have it in
It's a
place
different town.
for a different, it's
Oh.
different.
So we already have an agreement with,
Crown Castle, we have a current existing agreement that expires in 2020. They came to the district and said, we like that, we'd like to continue with this relationship, we want that spot, here's what we're willing to do. And we went back and forth and told them, well, there's gonna be an increase in cost, we're not willing to go out the length of the term that you all want, and we would like to keep the bonus that they offered to pay to renew the lease. So they're asking for more time on the lease.
I'm with Mr. Ayub. I mean, we have until 2020.
But what if they even want to just change a liability clause or something? We'd have to we'd have to approve that then.
We'd either tell them no and they would accept it, or we'd have to bring it back to you all. Yes, yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just curious as to what their incentive was to want to bring it to us to begin with, other than the obvious, which is, you know, okay, they maybe they're going to make an investment, maybe there's a competitor coming in. You know, is there a non-compete clause in there that says that we can't let anybody else put a tower in there?
No, we see a lot of cell tower requests at a variety of different entities. Heck, we had one approach us for our building to put one on the roof. I mean, the mobile phone industry is really looking to scatter them in various locations, and they want to keep that location.
Well, and actually, there should be a clause, because they do hang more than one antenna on this tower. There is a clause for that, right? Yeah, they hang more than one antenna.
I don't know, I'm with Mr. Ayub. If the rush is theirs, well, let the sense of urgency reflect on their actions, not ours.
Yeah, and we're not gonna do any lower than this anyway.
No.
So I have a motion to table this item until a future board meeting when we've gotten more information.
Second.
Motion was made by Mr. Ayub, seconded by Mr. Nakira. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item F, consider approval of TASB update 104 and local policy.
President Gondeta, Dr. Espinosa, members of the board, administration recommends consideration and approval of revisions to the following policy from TASB Update 104, which are policies EEH, FD, FEB, FFH, and local policy CDA, which is a yearly review, to include resolution as presented.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion made by Mr. Nakira. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Guerra. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Executive session. This meeting is to be closed to this discussion with legal counsel regarding request for easement for El Paso County across portion of Purple Heart Elementary School, to discuss personal and real estate matters, and to consider administrative recommendations for principal at H.D. Hilly Elementary School, Pebble Hills High School, and assistant principal at Keys Academy under Texas Government Code Section 551.071 and 551.072 and 551.074. The time is, and including item 9E2. Time is 9 o'clock.
You got the official clock right there.
9 o'clock. I was forgetting now, that item. I apologize. You guys stay out here. We're back out of executive session at 10:20.
Midnight. Sorry.
Going to item E2. WAM Services, RFP number 199-0108E1655-Section 2.
Thank you, Board President Gondeta, Dr. Espinosa, members of the board. I answered some questions for you regarding the status of the selection of the provider under this RFP, and included within the backup for the agenda item is the board agenda, backup at page 84, which we have gone over. The administration is recommending that you approve the award as proposed by the administration to award to Conterra Ultra Broadband LLC.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion made by Mrs. Nakira, second by Mr. Gonzalez. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
One no. Motion carries. Item A, decision and possible action, a request for easement from El Paso County across portion Pebble Hills Elementary School.
Purple Heart.
Purple Heart, sorry.
Thank you. We went over the terms of the easement briefly in closed session. This is something we had discussed actually about a meeting or two before. The easement's been prepared, we reviewed it, it's in proper form, and we would recommend that you approve the easement as discussed in closed session.
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made by Mrs. Rodriguez, seconded by Mr. Ayu. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item B, consider approval of administrative recommendations for principal at H.D. Haley Elementary School.
Yes, President Gondara, members of the board. At this time, administration recommends Mr. Fernando Miranda to assume all the roles and the responsibilities for the principal at Hilly Elementary.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion has been made by Mrs. Nakira, seconded by Mr. Gonzalez. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item B, Pebble Hills High School.
Yes, President Gondara, members of the board, at this time, administration recommends Ms. Melissa Parham to assume the roles and the responsibilities as a principal at Pebble Hills High School.
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
Motion has been made by Mr. Guerra and seconded by Mr. Nakira. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Assistant Principal at Keys Academy.
Yes, President Gondara, members of the board, at this time, administration recommends Mr. Miguel Rivera to assume the role and the responsibilities as the assistant principal at Keys Options.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion has been made by Mrs. Rodriguez, seconded by Mr. Nakira. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. There further be no more business on the agenda. On this tonight's agenda, we are adjourned at 10:25.